Hey Sean, thanks for clicking on the video. The B button, a funny little button you can press to negate all damage. Wow, good meme. You're gonna make a video about whether you can beat the game without superguarding? Well, no. Never gonna be like that. This is another one of those weird ideas that came to me and made me curious enough to find out. Can you beat Paper Mario the Thousand-Year Door without ever pressing the B button? Also, no technicalities. There are no half B presses. My rules are very simple. Any action that is usually performed by pressing the B button is strictly off limits. And just to make absolutely sure I didn't break any rules, I unbound my B button. I'll show him. The game starts, and during our very first battle, we already run into an issue. We have to spend an entire extra turn to defeat Crump, since we can't superguard him for extra damage. After this excruciating time loss, we get a smooch from Best Girl and avoid Frankly's tutorialization by carefully scrolling down to the correct option and pressing A to decline. We continue on our way to the Thousand-Year Door and... yeah, that may be a problem. But no problem a little glitch can't fix. You've probably heard of this one before. It's a classic. This is the hazard respawn glitch. And it is very simple. If you jump into a hazard like water or spikes before the game has time to set Mario's spawn position, the place Mario will respawn and fall down is the exact middle of the room. And lucky for us, if you jump on the very first frame when entering a new room, the game will do just that. We just do this twice to get past the blue pipe rooms, and we can simply go to the Thousand-Year Door from the other side. Oh. Yeah, this is gonna take some brute forcing. How, you ask, can we possibly get past this flurry panel? Nothing a little glitch can't fix. Here's our second glitch of the run, Goombella buffering. When pressing X to use Goombella, sounds a little weird. You still have a couple of frames to move before her text bubble comes up. During a tattle, most overworld interactions are disabled, like, for example, loading zones. By continually using tattle, Mario can slowly make his way past the loading zone trigger. Once we're in there, we can walk out of bounds, across the seam of the room, and make our way to the pipe that leads to the 1000-year 100 trials pipe pit. That one. More easily said than done though. Since maneuvering around these corners is a bit of a nightmare. One misstep and it's right back to the start. Full transparency, this was probably the second most annoying thing I had to do this run. Stay tuned. Number one will shock you. When entering a Thousand-Year Door room from the back, you might notice something is off. Frankly, he's a lot less hype than he usually is. What's more, the lights are a little shy today. Understandable. Entering unannounced from the back is a bit rude. Why is this happening though? If you've messed around with sequence breaks, or god forbid cheats, how dare you? You probably ran into similar oddities. The way this game keeps track of where you are in the story is by setting your sequence after performing certain actions or story beats. This could be talking to a certain character, opening a chest, using a key, the list goes on. So, our progress and story position was never updated to the correct sequence value for the game to realize it needs to start the door cutscene. All we need to do is go back, get plane mode, and the game is none the wiser. All that to save the life of one adorable yellow block. Oh, well, yeah, and a B button press. After this, it's pretty smooth sailing for a while. Well, I mean, except for shopping. Shop owners become weirdly hostile in this challenge. Once you tell them you're selling something, you are not leaving before actually doing so. We ruin our shoes by jumping on Blooper's tentacle instead of hammering it, and make our way to chapter 1. Chapter 1 really lacks in the B-press department, surprisingly. Though, let's mourn the loss of Horsetail. His cheap heal shall not be forgotten. Switches can be jumped on, but sadly that's not the case for item blocks. And while you don't strictly need a POW block to defeat the bot clefts, I believe in convenience and supporting the local economy. No B presses in Schwank Fortress, and on to Hooktail Castle it is. I didn't do much preparation for this challenge, so I didn't anticipate any B related issues during this chapter. You don't even need the hammer to get past the Dullbones horde, you can just jump forward. But, as it turns out, the very next room has a yellow block. Tell me, did you remember this guy was a thing? I didn't. The main problem here is that we can't move the yellow block. The yellow block is blocking the yellow block. So I thought of a simple solution. All we need to do is hit that switch to get the key on the other side. Or, if we somehow can get out of bounds, we should be able to walk into the yellow block and use coops, or walk over to the switch and jump on it. However, door loading zones can't be Goombella buffered into, since you can't just walk through the door. Luckily though, this room has one more loading zone. This one. So we simply Goombella buffer into it and... well, that wasn't what I expected. Yeah, this loading zone is weird. My cord keeps getting stuck. The moment you set foot onto it, Mario will just start walking forward, even if Goombella is talking. He'll just keep respawning after falling, and the moment you close the text box, you just activate the loading zone. So I guess we can't Goombella buffer this loading zone? That's concerning. Except not really. Because the room this loading zone takes you to is the room we're trying to get to. And this side of the loading zone does not have the same issue. For some reason. So yeah, the solution to the problem that I created with my original solution ended up being an easier solution to the original problem. Anyway, buffer into the loading zone and we're in, baby! The rest of the chapter has no more B presses. And since our story sequence got updated past the locked door, it just opened itself and we don't need to do the same trick again. Nice! Some of you may be worried that I'm gonna have to do whole Goombella buffer shenanigans again to get to the 1000-year door, but that's actually not the case. Now that we have paper mode, we can slip through these bars at the top, land on the yellow blocks, yeah, just hold forward and eventually the game will be like, yeah, it's fine. Okay, so as I'm sitting here writing this, why didn't I just Goombella buffer into the loading zone in this room and then jump to the pipe and that would have been it? That would have just been way simpler. After this, we sell some stuff, buy some stuff, upgrade coops, and make our way to Chapter 2. Chapter 2 has nothing to talk about. Yeah, I'm serious. No B presses. The only thing standing in your way are switches, and you can just jump on them or hit them with coops. So yeah, that's it. And we can just move on to chat. Oh, that's what you thought. Dummy. What about the dance sequence? How could you have forgotten? I mean, yeah, we can't press B, but you don't have to. You can miss quite a few of these button presses and the game just doesn't care. Tech can settle for good enough. Now, we move on to...
It's showtime!
A lot of you probably immediately thought of a small issue progressing through this chapter. I'll get to it when the time comes. But first, we battle up to rank 10. Get Yoshi, beat the Armed Harriers. Alright, the time came. We get some spam mail trying to sell us on a shiny new hammer upgrade. There's just one little caveat. The hammer comes with a tutorial attached. A tutorial where you have to press the B button. We're, for all intents and purposes, soft locked and can't progress through the chapter. Even if we use the speedrunning glitch to get on Grubba's bookshelf at the start of the chapter, we can't get back out of the vent because, again, no super hammer. So, now what? Chapter 7! Obviously. Though we're clearly not entering the normal way because... Tell me if you've heard this one before. Teleport a room early. A glitch and speedrun trick with a very storied history that I will not get into. There are countless different ways across different versions of the game to get into this one locked room before you're supposed to. X-Nots hate it. Now let me show you the newest and least requirement heavy version of this trick. Yeah, that's it. You just clip through the wall. I understand this looks completely fake, but no. This is real. And for once, you do not have to wonder how somebody could ever find a glitch this specific. Discovered by Really Tall, while looking at the collision of this room, they noticed that there is a very small gap between the collision of the wall and doorway. Usually, Mario's hitbox is way too big to slip through it, but when he's in paper mode, his hitbox shrinks in size, which then allows him to slip through gaps. Or be small enough to walk in between bullet bill shots. With enough speed, Mario could potentially clip through this tiny little gap. However, we all know in paper mode, Mario's movement speed is slowed down significantly, which, again, stops him from slipping through the gap. Now the obvious question becomes, can you have the paper mode hitbox while maintaining normal walking speed? There is, with a glitch called an unspin clip. When Mario jumps and unspins from paper mode, he keeps the small hitbox for a couple of frames. So when walking at a very precise angle and unspin jumping, Mario's hitbox is just small enough to slip between the gap of these two collision edges. And when I say precise angle, I mean it. There is only a single rotation angle of the control stick that allows for this clip to work. Not only that, you have to unspin jump at the exact seam where these two collisions meet. So I used Zephylus's practice codes to visualize my current stick angle to make it easier to know if I was even walking at the right angle. This is my video, I can do that. This isn't a melee tournament. Then all I needed was the right timing for the unspin jump, and we're in there like swimwear. To the moon and beyond. Maybe not beyond. Read this note, and your sequence is set to chapter 7. Collect the things and go straight to the boss. Oh wait, I'm missing a couple of pieces. No problem. You can just get hit by one of these guys' potions while slipping through the bars. Yes, it is that simple. Sort of. Took like 7 tries. We beat Magnus, and it's on to our final shopping spree. Not super relevant. I did run into this while I was collecting some star pieces. Game's a little confused, I think. Can't imagine why. Now we can go to... Let's go over a couple of potential issues during Chapter 8. Riddle Tower has blocks. This guy exists. Final boss turns me off. Oh, and there's one more little problem because we skipped like a bit of the game. In this area, you would either have to use Vivian's Veil or Tube mode to get past these fire bars. Yeah, you can just walk through them with invincibility frames. Engage the fire guy with a Coop's Mine, run, and just carry on through the fire and the flames. But what about these guys? You knew this one was coming. Palace Skip. A complicated series of glitches that allows you to skip the palace. This long stretch of mostly empty hallways to the Gloomtail room is actually the same set of rooms you travel through after lowering the stairs to the deeper section of the Palace of Shadow. Certain objects from the later state of these maps are already loaded under the map, like this spring, or more importantly, this loading zone. It leads to the room with the chest holding the very last palace key. And opening this chest sets your story progression right before the Grotus battle. The hallway map is now updated and you can move right to the final boss rush. Now, let's backtrack a little. You can't Goombella buffer into the doors and walk out of bounds, and there's no gap in this map's collision you can unspin clip through. So, how do we get to this loading zone? Oh, it's simple. All you have to do is make sure you have a full inventory. Save, then defeat this phantom member and reload your file until he drops an item. Pick up the item and toss it until it's in the spot where the other phantom member notices you and can reach you. Jump towards the item and spend as few frames possible touching the floor. This will make Goombella stay where she is. When Goombella is off screen and you use her ability, she will zip towards Mario's position instead of walking there. During the small window where you press X to tattle, pick up the item. This will break the overall movement lock that's usually in place when somebody is talking. Now the phantom member can move around and start a battle. Once you run away, which you have to do while keeping the text bubble open, Mario can now move around the world while Goombella's text bubble is open. Swap to Yoshi and push him out of bounds in the top left corner of the map. Then you slowly guide Yoshi to the middle of the map where the phantom member is by pushing him back in every couple of steps. And once you're in this position, close to the phantom member, you'll be right above the loading zone. Make sure Fire Guy is close, but not too close. Get out of paper mode and mash the D-pad to make sure you open the menu as soon as possible. Feed Yoshi an item so he gets out of paper mode sooner. Match the D-pad again to open the menu. Press A to close Goombella's text box and close the menu. Immediately use Yoshi's ability, which will make Mario teleport to Yoshi's position. Touch and encounter the phantom member before you fall through the map. Run away from the battle and hold up so you fall onto the loading zone. Easy. So easy your child can do it. And that is about it, as Palace Skip also skips breaking this final block. Just bump Grodus, dunk Bowser, and clap the Queen. And just like that, we've beaten Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door for the Nintendo GameCube family of systems without ever pressing that eyesore of a B button. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, because this video will probably come out in the last week of the year. Yeah, I hope you learned something. Check out Malio and like other speedrunning duders. They're cool. Bye. And a special shout out to these lovely patrons: Neminator, Yalt, Miss Medic, Nue Tsukima, and Rip Ball.